Welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we are anything but straight. My name is Space,
And I'm Bean.
and we welcome to our episode, which is about what today?
We're going to be talking about tribal instincts, or otherwise known as finding furries in your area.
Which is pretty easy, but you'd be
Yeah.
surprised how many people don't know if there are furries in their neighborhood or in their local community. So we've
Yeah.
come up with a couple of different ways that you guys can search for furries in your local community. Um, so you ready
And
to say something?
yeah, furry is just like the community itself. There is a lot of like online interactions, but we really encourage you to try to find some local furry things to do or try to find some local furry friends because it really does make the fandom that much more great of an experience. If you can find people in person to share your interests with, it's like a game changer. So we really
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to talk about this to try and help people to get that experience.
And what actually spawned this particular episode was that I was actually chatting with a furry on Telegram who had found me, and had expressed, like gratitude about like our podcast and our episodes. And then I started to get to know them, and they were saying that they were all alone in this college and that they don't have furries around them. And of course, I don't take no for an answer. So I'm like, hello, I'm like the gene to find, like, I love searching for furry groups for people. I just love it. If you can't find anyone, I'll find them for you. I've got tons of different ways of doing it. I've got great contacts throughout the fandom. So it's kind of like a treasure hunt for me. So I really love it. And in the end, it's still good because I did a service, and I like that.
Yeah.
Um, but they couldn't find anyone, and I'm like, there's no way that you're at a college and you're the only furry. I mean, that would be just like the worst luck possible. So there's got to be people around you. So I went on a search. I found a couple of places, a couple of dead ends, but most of all, I found some really good places and some active groups. Mentioned to the person, I said, it's in your hands now. It's up to you what you want to do from here on out. But here, we're going to kind of go over some major key factors of where you can find furries. And the first on the list, which should be pretty obvious, Google it. It's
Google it.
it's just a phrase. We're all so used to saying it. Like, where can I find the nearest Denny's? Google it. Literally, it's at your fingertips, folks.
Like, and you'd think this would be, more of a common sense thing just in general, but as when I have my class set up, I just want to get one of those buttons that says like Google it. Google it because kids will ask things that are just so easy to just Google.
So, for instance, on Google, I wanted to search for a group or furry groups outside of where I normally live. So,
Yes.
I'm in Utah, you're in Georgia. We already know that we have established groups in our states. Let's try to look for something else. So, like, for instance, I typed in furry groups in New York City, and the very first thing that popped up was meetup.com, New York City furries. By the way, Bean has a coughing thing.
I'm
So,
sorry. I'm sorry.
it's okay. No, it's okay. She's got medicine and stuff, but if you hear her cough and you're annoyed by it, well, that sucks for you. Um, I don't mind. So, that the first thing that pops up is meetup.com, and then it shows NYC Furries, New York meetups. And it actually has, let's see, February 2nd, Early Birds Breakfast, March 28th, New York City Furry Night. This looks cute. I don't know what that is. I kind of want to click on it now. June 26th, Barcade Bananas. I'm pretty sure
That
it's gonna be
sounds so
like
fun.
an arcade with like a bar and stuff.
Alcohol.
Hell yeah. My second choice of links is New York City Furs. It's an actual website, and I can continuously going down. And so we have amino groups, which is highly like useful if you're, super young and you love them, and you've got nothing else really going for you in life. That's actually bad. Let me take that back. You just really got nothing going because you're kind of nervous. You're insecure. You're not really great with groups or meeting people. For Amino, I hear is just amazing. Just be aware that there's a lot of trolls on there.
Yeah.
I guess that's really the case no matter where you go, though. Um, Fur Affinity is another option on here. It's got another con here from Dog Patch Press. By the way, Dog Patch Press, I know that Bean, you have your thoughts on it. Um, I I wouldn't say I work with Dog Patch Press, but I do kind of like bring tips and tricks to them and little things here and there. But they do have a lot of useful articles. They cover over a lot of things. And I'm actually quite surprised that they actually have something here for New York City furs and it's called, I think it's called the Little Con in the Big City. That's cute. I
Oh.
like that. But there are tons of things. Like there's a Reddit group, there's a Steam group, there's a Wiki Fur group, like talking about it. There's a Facebook group, and then I can search for other things too. If you can't find something based off of your search, then tweak it a little bit. If it's like, for instance, if we're looking for furries in New York City, I would get rid of groups and retweak the search. So I'm going to do furries in New York City. So the first thing that pops up again is the NYC New York meetup. And then there's a post a little bit later down. It's from 2016, but it says any furries in New York City. Although the date is really late, there still might be some active links in there. I would search for it. I would go for it. So there's things like that. You can also look for furry groups as well. So I'm going to look up, throw me a city or a state.
Go for God. I don't know any popular cities. Just go for like Atlanta, Georgia, or something. See what's there. Because I
Okay.
personally haven't researched any Georgia groups.
So we're going to do furry groups. Well, actually, we'll just do furries. If I could spell it right, furries in Atlanta. Because if it can't figure it out, then that's not my problem.
While we're talking about furries in Atlanta, real quick, the other day I saw a car driving around Atlanta, and their tag on the back said the word circle, and they had a shit ton of furry stickers on the back, and the underside of their car was lit up to be yellow. So I'm like, well, that's a furry.
Yeah, I would think so. That would be so cool if we could figure out who they were.
Like
That'd be so neat.
if you live in Atlanta, you drive a car that says circle, hit us up.
So the first thing that pops up is Furry Week Atlanta. That
Yeah, of
should be
course.
a given. And then it gives you like the dates for that. Some videos pop up of Furry Week in Atlanta. Then we've got Furry Week in Atlanta and Wikipedia. Good Lord, we're going to pass over that. There is something that says georgiafurs.com. Are you familiar with this one?
Um, I used to be on that back in high school. I don't know if it's still active or not, actually.
Well, we can take a look. I linked it to you in your Telegram, which we'll be
Okay.
going over in a little bit. I don't know if this one is active.
Oh, this website is old.
Yeah, it's copyright. Its content copyright is back in 2009. So this thing has not been updated since then. But
Well, the
that's not a
last
bad
post
thing.
was on January 21st of this year, so.
Well, whatever. Actually, no, that's a good thing. So it looks like right here on this website, it said that there is an art jam and an open house from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Later on, there's a furry flea market. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah,
At
I guess
the
you would sell furry merch there that it's just pre-owned.
No way, they actually did it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know if we actually talked about this in seasons prior to this, but I had caught wind, I had caught wind that there was going to be or no, maybe it was you. There was going to be an FWA office.
A Fwafis.
Yeah,
They
they
have a
built it.
Fwafis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they made it. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
My cousin
I thought it was just
volunteers.
that's so cool.
My cousin volunteers for FWA, and they go there.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
See, I wish every state and city had something like that. But that's pretty self explanatory. If you live in an area or you're going to school in an area and you're not quite sure if there's furries in that area, try doing a broad search. Just try doing the state itself. If you can't find anything there, then go ahead and just narrow it down to like, let's say you're at Boston University and you're not sure if there's any furries out there. Well, then Google Boston University furries or furry groups and try
Mm-hmm.
to see if you can find something. You will find something, because I won't say you won't, because chances are you're going to find something out there. You just have to put the effort in doing it. But
Yeah.
Googling it is probably the most self-explanatory, easiest thing, most common sensical thing to do.
And when it comes to like college specifically, definitely try Googling your college with furries, because I know there is a SCAD Savannah Furries, and they actually have like fursuit meetups and stuff like that for that college. It's an art college, so um, try that out. You might be surprised on what you find.
It would just be odd if there wasn't a furry group or furries that didn't, go to a college, because that just seems like the total college thing to do. So, um, so the next thing on our list is Facebook groups. Facebook is kind of dying,
It's for a lot of
but
like, it's not for the younger generation now. It's like our generation and older
yeah,
tends
pretty
to.
much. And it's not a bad thing. A lot of people are more about like instant gratification. So that would be things like Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. I don't know if TikTok is like that, but I could see it probably going down that route.
It is.
Whereas Facebook's kind of now more, it's slower information. You still see things like pretty quickly, but it's kind of God, I hate saying it because I loved Facebook at one point. It's kind of like a dinosaur of
Yeah.
social platforms. It still is up there on the list. It's still number one, Twitter being next after that and going down, but its popularity isn't as huge. However, if you're already on Facebook, it's really easy to find furry groups on there. You do have a search bar very similar to Google,
Mm-hmm.
and you can search for things up there. Now, there is a group called Furries Around the World. I highly recommend searching that first and joining the group. It's a public thing. Something that we had just discovered before we were recording is that there's a little search bar within the group. Now, let's say I want to look for, let's go for New York again. If I want to look for anything in New York, I'm just going to type in New York, hit enter, and it pulls up every post that it has the word New York in there. For instance, on December 15th of 2018, someone had asked if there were New York City furs, and there are 9 comments on it. You could find people within your own community easily with this one particular website. Not website, but it's a group. How many people are in it? That's what I want to know.
That's a good question.
4,687 members. So out of
Damn.
all of that, there's bound to be a post somewhere near you. We could tweak it again. Let's do like Minnesota. Isn't it like what?
Apparently,
M-
Seattle has a lot of furries.
I can't spell Minnesota. I'm pretty sure I spelled that wrong. Yeah, okay. There is someone who asked if there was any Minnesota furs. If I click on here, there's a couple people in here that have made comments. That's awesome. So you can literally search anything you want to within this group. You should be able to find what you're looking for. Now, if you don't want to look in this group, you can do the search in Facebook. It's a little weird. I wouldn't say it's the best search. It's got more options and more results than you're actually looking for. But if I just type in like furry groups in Montana, that's a real shot in the dark, actually. So I refine my search and it says furry groups in Montana. I'm not seeing too much of a result, and that probably is because maybe there isn't any furries up there. I'm sure there are tons, but this is what I don't like about using Facebook search is that it just gives you too many options and not enough of what you're looking for. And you can like tweak it down to the bare minimum, but I wouldn't necessarily search for groups on Facebook because it's just too much. It's kind of like I used to use a comparison here. Nope, I don't got one. That's about it. I would recommend going to Furries Around the World. Try to find these bigger furry groups because there's going to be a lot of people in them. Once you're in
Yeah.
that group, then search within that group for key posts like city names and states to see if you can find people within that. I think it's going to be your best shot. I wouldn't actually search for like state groups or country groups within the actual search on Facebook. It's just too broad. It's not enough. It's too much, basically. Do you have anything to add before we move on to the next one?
No, I think we're good to move on to the next one, which is for affinity groups.
I don't really know much about fur affinity groups. Do you know about them?
So they're not as big or as accessible as like Facebook groups, for example, but they do exist. Um, a lot of the times, larger groups like the Georgia Furs group, for example, will have fur affinity groups. Um, so it'll be the same thing, just on a different platform. But basically, you can search groups on Fur Affinity, and they might have one for your state. I'm not sure if they changed how groups work since they updated recently. But it works in a similar way as Facebook groups, except it's not as easy to comment on stuff and to send messages to people. But it's still definitely an option if you're still active on Fur Affinity, which I know a lot of people aren't anymore. But if you are, then it's there, and I wanted to bring it up just because it's an option. It's not as
I
popular of
found
an option, but it is an option.
okay, so you can't really search for groups per se, but you can use the pictures and then you can use the username itself. So for instance, I typed in Arkansas's furries. And so
Yeah.
I found a bunch of them. There's one here that says Northwest underscore Arkansas underscore furries. And then that is the actual group for that particular region. So you kind of have to tweak it. Oh my God, that's so gross. Why would someone do that? I just clicked on an Arkansas's picture and it's a hot dog with lettuce, mustard, chips, and gummy bears. The
Nah, jeez.
Good Lord, that's gross. I mean, it's something I would do, but maybe when I was a little bit younger. Oh, I don't know. I might actually do. If it was like gummy worms, I might do it. But yeah, you can search for, pretty much anything in there and then just kind of click on the picture, see if you can find anything that will lead you down the rabbit hole of group searching. I've done it before. I think it's probably, if I had to choose between Facebook searching and FA searching, I'd probably go with FA.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit better.
I just went. I haven't logged into Fur Affinity forever, but I just logged in, and on my page I have a little icon in my description that has, you can click on it. It's the Georgia Furs group, like the official Georgia Furs website made a group on FA. It's not active anymore, but people are still commenting on it, like, "Hey, are any people in Georgia in this area?" Or, "Hey, I made a Facebook group or a Telegram group for this." So if you're looking for links to Telegram groups or to Facebook groups, you can still find, even if the groups are inactive on For Affinity, people might still be commenting on them.
I sent you something.
Oh no, what is this?
I was on Twitter and I just
Oh
happened to.
no, what
I
is
happened to.
that?
It's the drink of choice for protogens.
Ridiculous.
Okay, so to kind of explain what I just clicked on Twitter, it's a plain can of soda, and then someone had taken the Windows 95 logo and kind of slapped it on the outside of the can and said, "This is the drink for protogens." So it works perfectly. I can't imagine what it would taste like. It's probably like ink or whatever, but
Ew.
it's kind of funny. It'd be funny if like you go to like open, it's like and it's like da na na
Yeah, I
na.
was about to say it just has a boot up sound.
That would be so great. Okay.
Oh, I
Um.
just said that the Georgia Furs Fur Affinity page is inactive. They actually made a journal a month ago, so maybe it's not as inactive as I
Oh,
thought. They
that's
just don't
awesome.
upload pictures that much anymore.
Now you can also reach out on Twitter, and you play on Twitter more often than I do.
Yes. So Twitter, it's a little bit harder per se on Twitter. You might can search like Georgia furries and see if anybody just used that word in a tweet or anything like that, but the easiest way to find local furs or maybe fur groups is to just be active on Twitter in general. And those things will just pop up on your timeline naturally. But if you can find like artists in Georgia, or maybe you can find a list of furries in Georgia on a different website that leads to Twitter and you could talk to them there. It's more of just a social hub in general online, but you still can find local furries through there and communicate with them through there.
So, something you can do on Twitter. This is what I really like about Twitter. Instagram also does the same feature. Instagram is also owned by Facebook, but it's much more popular. If you are not quite sure how to search, I would recommend doing hashtags because
Yeah.
furries love hashtags. So you can literally do hashtag and then the city or the state that you're in, and then furries right behind it, and then you'll most likely find what you need. So I did
Yeah.
something like Kansas furries, and I found 2 posts from people that are looking for Kansas furries. Um, I did one for Arizona furries, found one. I could probably do one here for like, let's just go out of the box here and search for Argentina furs. I know that's like
Argentina?
really, why not? I
It's just
mean,
random. I don't
it's
know.
no
I forgot that
results. That sounds
Argentina
about
was
right.
a yeah.
There's nothing out there.
Rip.
Anyways, if you're from Argentina and you're looking for local furry groups, I'm pretty sure I could find you one. It's just I would have to retweak the search a bit. But yeah, Twitter is a pretty good example of searching for groups, and I would probably recommend doing that. The last online type of search you can do would be through Telegram groups.
So Telegram groups are really great because if you can find one that's, that has a lot of people in it, it'll be pretty much active all the time. And if you're also active in the group, people will recognize your icon and name. You can get
Mm-hmm.
daily conversations in that aren't as awkward because it's with multiple people. It's not messaging the same person every day necessarily. And you can make a lot of friends that just through groups because it's easier to socialize in a larger setting, even online. And then from there, once people are comfortable with you in a group setting, they might message you one on one. And then, of course, you could find events through Telegram chats. They're super great.
We have a group. It's called Straight from the Muzzle and Friends, and we have a link. We always have the links available, like on our social sites and on all the episodes. But it's not a big group. It's fairly small. I say on average between 65 to maybe 70 members.
Mm-hmm.
It comes and it goes, but there's probably a good fair amount of people that actually do chat in there. I'd say about up to like 5 to 10. And you might think, well, that's kind of small, but that's actually good because you don't want too many people chatting because then you can't really keep up. But the people that are in there, they're really good. There's people like Swift Paw. Um, there's one I can never pronounce his name, so I always just call him Gangnam. But it's Gang Darawang. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love their icon. There's another one in there. His name is Glitch. He's really cool. He's been doing a lot of art like lately. He does a lot of really cool like watercolors. Boomstar, who's one of our own staff members, she's kind of like our gopher for our staff. She does
Mm-hmm.
everything. She's really good. But there's a lot of really cool people in here that you can get to know. They're all from all around. I think the one that I couldn't pronounce is actually from like South Korea, I think, or Philippines. It
Yeah.
could be one of those. But there's lots of things you can do. There's a lot of groups you can find, but when you're in there, get to know them, talk. Don't just kind of just sit there and watch like I do sometimes.
Yeah.
But I kind of like watching because I can see all of you guys interacting in there, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's a good way to get to know people, even if you don't actually meet them in line, like in line.
In
Even if you don't
line.
meet, even if you don't meet them in person, some of these people are just the nicest, down to earth people you'll ever find, and it's just a really good group. I highly recommend it. If you just want to drop in, see what it's like, drop back out, it's totally fine. Like I said, the link's available everywhere. So if you want to check it out, go for it. Um, but if online really isn't your thing, which you kind of need it because you need to be able to find who these groups are, there is also in person options.
Yes. And we were talking about that earlier, like how in person can really, make the furry fandom more enjoyable. You can use online to find in person things. Like they kind of interlock. So starting off with online is great to get your foot in the door to in person
Yep.
events. So the first in person thing we want to talk about is fur meets. Now, of course, you have to use the internet to find these kind of meetups. For example, on the Georgia Furs website, they list when they're having official meetups for that group, when, where, and a description of what it is. So, why don't you describe what a fur meet is?
So a Fermi is kind of like everyone gets together on a specific date. So, for instance, let's all meet in the park on Saturday at 4 o'clock. So a lot of furries will get together in one particular location. Either it's fursuits or there's just regular people not in fursuit. Often there's food and games and things to play around, but fur meets are a really good way to get into intermingle with your local community. So I started off in a small fur group called the Utah Furries. My first fur meet was at a corn maze, and I actually put myself out there and became a fursuit handler at my first fur meet. But I brought my camera with me because I highly recommend everyone to do that. Take pictures. It was a lot of fun. I got to meet people that were kind of like me. And I got to know them really well. And over time, I'd say about like what, 8, 9 years later, I've got some really good close friends because I put myself in a situation that I might not necessarily have done because I'm not really huge into like giant groups, but I put myself in this situation so I can meet people like myself. And I kept going back and I kept going back and back and back. And it was a lot of fun. They can be big, they can be small. Sometimes they're at bowling alleys, sometimes they're at coffee shops. And if you really want to kind of just like put it in its own little category, you could probably say it's like a convention that's like micro size. So
Yeah.
roughly between 20 to 30 people that might show up. But if you have a really active community, sometimes you can go as high as like, I think the biggest fur meet I saw, which was it was a multi-state fur meet, 150 furries altogether. It was
That's
really
rad.
cool. That
I
was a
know
really cool collaboration.
one really cool type of fur meat that usually tends to get a bit on the larger side are furbecues, which is usually
Oh
when you like go
yeah.
to a park and rent out like a gazebo
Go
or
to the
anything like that.
beach.
And yeah, and you have like a furry barbecue, and it's so
Yeah.
rad. I've always wanted to set one of those up in my area for my South Georgia fur meat group.
I've seen a lot of like I used to live in San Diego, California. There's a lot of really cool like furries out there and they always do like a set meetup at a specific lake, but they always do like these like parties on the beach and I've always wanted to go to one of those. And there's also one that's called I think it's called Prancing Skill Tear. It's one of the more well-known groups in Utah, not Utah, California. Very, very well known. Um, both in a good way and in a bad way. That's all I'll say about that one. What's another good way of meeting furries in person?
Well, this might seem obvious, but conventions. Like
Yeah.
most people go to conventions with friends, and I do suggest going with at least one person you know or meeting up with one person you know. But it's not a bad idea to go by yourself if you just really want to try to meet some friends. The only thing is, if you're going by yourself, you have to have a basis of how to socialize without being too awkward. Because if you go by yourself and you tag along with somebody, then you could seem like a leech.
Hmm.
But there are so many events at furry conventions you can go to. There are a lot of panels and meet and greets. Like, it's just a great way to get to know people and have a good weekend. But that's if you go as a guest. Uh, Another way to make relationships and friends in the furry community through conventions is staffing.
I've
Now,
always wanted to do this.
and staffing at a convention, it's usually extremely needed. Like, conventions need help to run, and when you staff at a convention, you don't have to staff during the con. You can do the prep work for the con. If one of your reasons for not being a staff member is I just want to spend time at the con being at the con, that's fine. A lot of staff members for conventions do work before the convention. So you do a lot of prep work. And usually with that, you every month or every couple of weeks, whatever, you'll go to a specific place to do specific tasks with other furries. And naturally, doing that, you're going to make friends with the people you're working with.
Yep.
And then also through that, if they've been working there or, volunteering for a long time, then they'll know people they could set you up with. It's a domino effect of making friends.
It really is. Other ways that you can also get to know people are through charity groups. Often charity groups are done usually through conventions, but you can also find local charity groups too. Um, I
Yeah, there
can't
are a
think of
lot of
any
local
like,
charity groups for states individually, kind of like state like fur meat groups. There are also specifically charity groups. Like one of them in Georgia is Atlantimals, which is a group that only does charity events. They don't do like bowling for themselves or fun or anything like that. It's all charity
Hmm,
work.
that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, yeah, that's really all I can think of as charity groups wise.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing you could probably go to are art jams.
Yes.
My husband goes to art jams. He goes to them. Well, he used to go to them pretty frequently, but in the winter, it becomes a little bit harder because it's just colder and not really many people want to go out of their way to get to a specific location. The one that we go to is a coffee shop downtown Salt Lake. It's kind of nice, big, very open. They usually give us a room, with a lot of chairs and couches and stuff. But it's fun because he gets to go, he gets to learn different, drawing techniques from other skilled artists. He gets to talk with people. He gets to know people. And when you start talking with people and getting to know them, chances are you're going to become friends over time. I recommend art jams. Usually they could be held at home. I've only seen them ever held in public settings. That'd be my personal preference because it's safer that way.
Yeah.
But you can do them at home as well or in other areas.
There have been some art jams in Georgia that are held in private like homes where they invite like 10, 15 people and they'll
Homes.
like you, shut up, making fun of me.
Bitch. Just
They'll
kidding.
have like drinks and snacks and a movie playing and you'll draw, but typically the people who set those up know most of the people and then those people bring plus ones.
Hmm.
But if it's more of strangers get together like a fur meet kind of deal, it's better to only do them if they're in a public space just for safety.
I've gone to parties too. I've gone to like local parties that I've really enjoyed. One that I really, really liked was is I was always like hang out with one person, well, a group of people, and they went to this thing called game night. And I've never been to a game night. So I went and I started going quite often to the point where I didn't need to go with this person anymore. I was already just there. And at that point, then I started bringing on Felix. And I'm like, you should come. You would really like this. And over time, he came. And we found that a lot of our close personal friends are also in this game group. And it was a lot of fun. So now it's like almost every weekend or it's a movie night. And we've just kind of like grown and just kind of spread out at the same time. Now we go to different game nights and different movie nights. We hang out with different furries, but we did that because we started somewhere. You got to start somewhere, whether it's in
Yeah.
a group, whether it's online. You got to just put yourself out there. And I know it's weird for some people because you're just so worried and scared, but you have to do it. You just have to. It's
Yeah.
worth it 100%.
You have to take a leap of faith. I've always seen furries and groups that are like, I wish I had furry friends locally, or I wish I was brave enough to go to fur meets. And it's like, you can't just sit there and complain and not do anything about it when those things are there for you to try. It's always good for you to take that step forward and to try. Even if you feel like you're not good at socializing, you have to learn somehow. And practice is, a great way. There are a lot of furries who are really, you know, awkward, I guess, in person, socially awkward. But once you get to know one another, even if it's just the first couple hours or so, you'll become comfortable and you'll be able to talk with them.
Absolutely. And you got to be honest, a lot of furries are socially awkward.
They are,
It's
yeah.
kind of what brings us together is because we're the outcasts and we only feel comfortable with our own kind. And so you start to become friends with these what you would think were socially awkward, which now are not. They're super close friends. So it
Yeah.
just really depends. Now, if you're out there and you're still not quite sure if you can find the groups or the people that you want to find, reach out to me. Like I said at the very beginning, I love searching for groups and for people all around the world. I don't have to live in other countries to find someone. I will find them. Plus, I've got great contacts within other groups. And let me grab my handle so you guys know who I am. You can find me on Telegram. It's at Jedi Knight Space. It's exactly as it sounds. Um, and I'll put my contact information as well in the information for this episode so you guys can locate me. I'd be more than happy to help you out. I will search Google, Facebook, Twitter. I will go all out for you. If you're looking for a group, I'll look for groups. If you're looking for specific types of friends, I'll look for those people and I will find them. And I will not give up on you either. So, and then I'll check back in on you to make sure that, be like, hey, did you reach out to these people? Did you have a chance to meet them, because I'm genuinely interested to know if you've gone that extra step. So if I'm going to go
Yeah.
the extra mile for you, you got to do the same thing and go the extra mile for me as well.
Yeah, always give it a try, even if it's just once.
Yep. But that's about it. So, finding your local community, it's pretty self explanatory. You've got all of these different things out there ready for you. You basically have it at your fingertips, literally, with everyone having a smartphone at this point. You can literally locate anyone at any time. But if you always need help, you can always reach out to us. Bean and I would be more than happy to help. I just,
Definitely.
I love it. We've got our group on Telegram that'd be more than happy to help. I know a lot of good furries in the community that'd be more than happy to help. So if you ever just need that help, don't hesitate to reach out and ask,
And
because we're here.
if you do end up giving any of these a try, or if you have tried these and you have some fun stories about any fur meets you've been to or art jams, or if you've staffed a convention and have any cool stories, feel free to share with us. You could talk
Oh,
to us
yeah.
at talktothemuzzle@gmail.com if you have generally any stories, if you just want any help. We are always there to answer.
I love getting the emails, by the way. I love reading them. They're so much fun and interacting with them. I haven't checked it in a while. I'm sure we have one or two in there somewhere. You could also talk to us through Telegram as well in the groups. I frequent the group quite often, being you're not there as often, but that's okay.
I'm going to try and
I've
pop
got
in more. I get
I've got
anxious in group
our
settings.
yeah, and I've got our I've got Boomstar in there, and Deer Dog, who is probably one of the cutest, most flexible furry artists I've met. Never actually met her in person, but I feel like I know her at this point. She's been with us for quite some time. She's a lot of fun, and I'd say she's pretty funny and
Yeah.
pretty smart with her funniness. So a lot of fun things out there. But yeah, you've got all this at your fingertips. If you guys have questions, you can always email us. And what else? Am I missing anything?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay, well then you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you next time.